Hey guys, it's Evan with Underhill Bonsai. Today I will be working on this colossal sized Foemina or Foemina Juniper, wherever you're from, however you were taught to pronounce it. Basically just a giant needle juniper, garden juniper. We're going to be doing some very basic design stuff, but also I will need to do some more advanced branch placement stuff on this because of its age and the fact that a lot of that stuff wasn't really ever done to this tree. So I'm going to go into all that on this video today, talk about some basics on how to lay out a tree this large and how to approach material like this. But before I do, I want to say that you guys should follow, subscribe, or comment below. And that really helps the algorithm, or whatever that might be on YouTube nowadays, but it helps us out, gives us questions to answer. And then also, if you want more content, like more just technical talk or just bonsai styles or guest artists or other bonsai people, you can go to Little Things for Bonsai People. It's my podcast show with me and Carmen Leskovinsky. You can listen to that on Spotify. It's also on YouTube if you want to listen to it on here as well. Just look that up in the search bar and subscribe to that as well if you want to. So just a little bit of context on this tree before I start making any large cuts. We sourced this tree from another bonsai nursery down in Florida. I'll go ahead and shout out Schle's Bonsai. They're down just north of Orlando, and he has a lot of these Foemina junipers, just kind of, smaller ones. He's got a couple of big ones. I picked up the biggest one he's got because I like big trees. So I went ahead and just did that. So to be honest, it was ridiculous of me to do it, but I do very large trees if you guys have seen some of my other content or have been to the nursery here. So he gave me a little bit of background on this. This was in a grow field. I believe it's Cliff Pottsburg's. It's a field that I think that's the guy's name. He gave me a little info. I don't know if it was a typo, but I'm going off of Cliff, person that grew these in the ground. I'm not sure how long they were in the ground for. Looking at a Foemina this big, my guess is that this tree was probably in the ground somewhere close to 20 years. Because the growth habit and the growth rate of these needle junipers here in the south is actually pretty fast. They're not like a typical juniper where they need to be drier or they're temperamental about being too wet. Foeminas actually thrive in the southeast climate. So I've got a few in the back in my own field over here that I've been growing for a short couple of years, and they're already a pretty good size. So based off the fact the entire trunk is about the same thickness, it does taper though. And then it has a top where it has been cut down in the past. So I would say 20 years and out of the ground, and then it was dug up out of the ground. He said between 2004 and 2006 is when they started digging those junipers up. And so this tree's been out of the ground since that time. So this tree's been out of the ground for almost 20 years. So it's probably a 40-year-old plant if I had to guess. So that's a pretty good amount of time for a tree to be this big and old. It has a lot of old branches that had been cut off in the past previously. They're kind of sticking out. Those will probably become gin. Some of them might be awkward for where they are. I might end up breaking them off. There's a lot of pieces that just haven't been treated. So I've actually spent the past couple of days going in, and there's a shari line, which is shari is the dead wood within the trunk, and then the gins are the ones that extrude outwards. So there's a lot of dead branches right up the middle here of this tree. As we get up into here, I don't know if it's going to be easy for me to pull those to the side, but it continues up in here, and then there's some more dead pieces here, and then it kind of stops abruptly because the sap line and the live vein was not interrupted by this. It kept going up, and there's actually, let's see, I was kind of looking at it. There's actually growth all the way at the very top. So there's a deadwood snag. It will be revealed as I trim the top down on this to kind of start honing it in. So there's a deadwood snag in there about maybe 1.5 feet at the most, 14 inches probably. And I'm gonna have to go up in here and trim it back. But one of the reasons why I picked up this tree is because, well, multiple reasons to be honest with you, is because I like big trees. So that's gonna be stated there, big cypress trees. It is the inspiration behind why we work on bald cypress here and style them the way we do. Flat top bald cypresses are actually inspired by John Naka's approach on these particular trees. So why not? Why not work on one of the best trees for bonsai in the South? And it gives me a very, very old school style of bonsai that I really enjoy. But the real reason, beyond all the just kind of background information on why I would even work with this tree in the first place, this tree has amazing branch placement. So it's got two gigantic branches coming out right here that makes up this very large section of branching. There's some pieces back here, they're already dead. There's actually a few pieces of gin. There's one branch that's alive hanging off the piece of this gin here, so there's a little bit alive off of this section. It kind of comes up in the back here. It's hard to see until I start cutting. And then it does have branches that kind of go like up into the tree in the very top. I've got plenty of branches up here that I could wire down if need be to kind of fill in that crown and kind of start widening it out. And then my real test here is going to be dialing the crown in so that eventually this will be super wide and will kind of start getting it further inwards. And then this will give me that scalene triangle shape instead. So I'll have that big giant branch here, smaller branches here, and then I'll pad out and make actual little cryptomeria style kind of pads that you would see in a more traditional formal upright tree. So for those who are not familiar with cryptomeria style, I did do a video on another Foemina. It was quite smaller. It was probably about a fourth of this tree's height. You can go back. That was I think that was 2 uploads ago, and maybe 3. I can't even remember at this point. But yeah, I just did a really small scale just to demonstrate how to work on the species. And now I've got this one, so we always will do something a little bit more fun. So I'm going to go in and start by eliminating. Might need a couple of different tools. I'm going to start eliminating branches that are not necessary for my design. But one thing I also have to keep in mind here is that anytime I cut a branch off and leave nothing behind, it will die back and it will further open this shari. And the tree has established a big, nice live vein around this dead side of the tree, but I don't want to cause any more dead sections to emerge on this plant. So I would like to keep as much trunk intact as I possibly can. And luckily, Foeminas, if I've got stringy growth in the interior, I can wire that growth out into the exterior here and get it strong enough, and it will take over some of these longer branches eventually. But we do have some finer branches here and up here. Lots of good stuff. I think I'm going to be mostly using my branch splitter here. So I'm going to move to the other side of the tree. I need my towel so I don't wear my knees out. So I'm going to go into the upper part here and kind of assess where this branch comes out. It's another gin, and then that comes up. And I would like to be able to get this branch down, but because it's so old, that's not possible, right? But one of the things that I'm probably going to end up doing with this branch, and this is going to be a little bit more advanced like I was talking about, is I will actually cut the crotch area right here or into the inside of this branch here to be able to bend it down. And I'm going to have to come in from the bottom here and make an anchor and actually bring this down. Because I would like to get this branch here where you see that thickest part, I would like it to get it a little bit more on level. And that'll open all this up here. So let me start by kind of reducing this back to what I think is appropriate. So I'll never use that, but I always look for branches that come back to that point. Leave space for gin. First cut on this tree since I've got it. And then we're off to the races on this. So we just kind of keep going. That's far enough in that I would like to keep it. And as I get further out, like this branch here, for instance, I don't know if that is visible on the camera there, but it comes up and into here, and then it comes out from this area, and it just keeps going and going. And then there's growth all the way out here. That's useless. So that's a glaringly obvious remove to me. And then same thing here. We got beautiful branches here, and then it comes up, and then this guy right here keeps going. So I'm going to remove that as well. And I'm not interested in making a gin on the first branch, so I'm actually going to nub that back. Okay. And the stuff that's dangling down here, a lot of people would say, oh, that's like an instant, get rid of that. You know, it's below your first branch. I would like to just take the fact that I could wire this up and fill in a zone over here that's blank with it. I'd much rather do that than just start hedge pruning this tree into a shape. I mean, I want to do more bending and branch placement on it rather than just going at it and making cuts. I gotta crawl around it. All right, so this in here. And so if I've got this big first branch that I would like to cut it, and the bending of this is gonna be pretty interesting. I mean, it's not gonna be so severe that it's impossible, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I've actually got a wire right here that was originally a tie-down wire, and it feels pretty stable. So I'm gonna actually twist onto that wire and get this down with a guy wire. But I've got this over here that is over the top of it, and that's a branch over the top of it as well. That can be repositioned. So let's address this back piece. This is in the way, I'm never gonna use that. Just get rid of this real quick. It's easy to go in these Foeminas and take out, I mean, that looks like a Christmas tree branch. Like, it's easy to go in there and remove that kind of stuff and clear out the space so I can see what I'm doing. Because now that I got this gap in here, that's easily fixed by just doing that and wiring things down. Now, I really should have checked this thing for paper wasp nests, but so far we're doing good. Yeah, like something like this is not gonna work, so see you later. Let me double check something here. Is that a live branch? Yes, it is. All right, done with that. That's good to go. Now this tree is also pushed up against the wall, so for the sake of me being able to work on it a little easier, I'm gonna take off one of these big giant branches back here so I can push it a little bit further back if I need to, or spin it if that's ever gonna happen. I might be able to spin it, but what I'm gonna do is at the end of this video, we're going to include like a after photo where I'm gonna actually have it on a turntable, believe it or not, and be able to rotate it around for you guys. Okay. So this all connects off of there, so that's good to go. More just untapered. You can see there's an old cut on here, this resurrection fern, moss. It was under a sprinkler system for a long time, so it's just got a lot of algae, a lot of moss, and a lot of other crap going on there. Let's see. There's actually a branch here that's already dropping down into position. That's one branch I don't have to bend downwards. There's one right there. So other than that, now I just need to keep kind of working through here. Not worried about that. That's a dead piece. There's like a bundle of old dead branches here, right underneath this branch. Above this main branch is another bundle back here. So I'm trying to make sure that once I bend that branch, it's not going to be for nothing, so that I can still fill that. And it looks pretty good, actually. Go ahead and cut this out, since I'm right here and I can see it. Get that out of here. Yeah, now we're getting some airspace back here. I can actually see what I'm doing again. Yeah, that's unfortunate that that's so long. Okay. Just so I can get a little ahead of myself on the top, because I know I'm going to be wiring this tree for a moment. That's a beautiful branch to have there. And how long does this need to be? So now I need to step back and see of all the stuff that I took off just now. Sorry. Obviously that. So if I drop this branch down right here, the end of this branch is way up here. So if this drops down, by the technique that I'm about to use for guy wire, this will put this branch right here, like way over here. And it's going to open all of this up, and you're going to see a giant gap in here. And it's going to be my job to bring branches from above and from the sides. Like there's a branch here. There's branches off of this piece that can come, like I said, there's pieces that can come back up and fill in this zone. So it's going to be pretty wide open right there for a little while. But Foemina, whenever they are cut back hard like this and they have growth on a branch, they can back bud on old branches. So like if there's a place, like sunlight hits like an old piece of bark in here, I can actually see buds growing on an old branch in here. And that gin is fun, but it's too long. So I'll go ahead and break it. So it's out of my way. And notice that wood is so strong. Some of the older wood on there is so strong. I broke that and none of this came off of it. So I mean, that's really, really nice old juniper wood. They usually don't stay firm like that unless they're actually pretty old. So I trust 100% that, you know, like we were speculating like around 40 years. I mean, probably not that long. It's just kind of estimated what the person who I got it from told me. But I mean, that kind of makes me believe it a little bit more, that that's actually old. Okay, so let's go ahead and tie off to here. So typically this tie down or this guy wiring technique, I learned this from, shout out to Julian Tsai. He's over in California. Came over here for Say Bonsai 2025. Show me this. Oh no. So I'm gonna have to do it. It broke off. So there's a tie down technique where you stick wire through one of the drain holes of the pot, wrap it around, and you don't have to go all the way through. You just get enough wire in there so that it kind of gives it that pressure against the pot so you can then use it. So I'm gonna have to go through that hole right there. I totally did that the safest way possible, I promise. So just had to take a moment there to kind of get under the tree. So this wire is snaked through an actual tie down hole that you would tie the tree down. And then I'm using see I'm pulling that. It's the angle of the wire actually hooking it in there. So it's aluminum wire, so you can actually get away with this as well. So this is actually a great way to go in and make a guy wire support. So cut that, give myself a loop. Like that, and then I've got a guy wire spot so that I can tie onto this branch and pull it down. So the reason why I just went through all that trouble is because typically when people put guy wires on trees like this, there's a root that they can snake a wire underneath to do that so they can pull. But there are no roots over here that I feel comfortable with they're tying to, because I don't know how far down the root system in this goes. I'm yet to repot it. I'm willing to bet that there's a little bit more nabari down here, but it's mostly fibrous if I were to guess. So I'm just going to go the safest route and just give myself a good tie down wire. So now comes the really fun part. So I've got surgical tubing here. My friend that's a veterinarian actually gave this to me, so you can imagine. But it's just, you know, you can use aquarium tubing. You can use, I think actually aquarium tubing is the only other one I can think of. Surgical tubing. This might be aquarium tubing. I don't know, but usually you put this on here. This is a little too big. That's why I pulled out that smaller wire earlier. So we'll do this. Yeah, it'll be easier to slip it on there. And so the reason why I'm even bothering with this is that the surgical tubing gives it something softer and a little bit wider for the wire to like be attached to the branch with, so that potentially like this will be on the branch and I'm going to strap, like say my arm is the branch, it's going to lay across that branch like that and it's going to pull pretty hard. And I don't want this skinny wire to cut into the branch as it heals and then cause a major structural issue. So this wider surface area actually will save it for a little bit longer theoretically increasing the size of the wire overall to a nice thick, it's like almost like an 8-gauge wire size increase. So, all right, so let's go in and cut the branch off, or almost cut it off. So right here, where the branch is connected to the tree, but not underneath, and I like this old bark, so I'm gonna try to maintain that. But all the way to here, there's a root that feeds this. Now, if I cut here, I've got another branch up here that's got growth on it. So what I have to do is I have to cut here, but not into this vein that supplies this little branch section right here. I really need this. So if I kill it, that's my fault. But I've worked with enough of these trees that I'm confident that this is going to go down the way I'm hoping it will. So, but I'm going to cut what I usually call like a Pac-Man mouth. I'm going to cut it here and intentionally give myself more leverage instead of trunk splitting or cutting the branch in half so it's like easier to bend. That's just ridiculous. I'd rather bend it right at the area where it needs to bend. So with my silky branch saw, I'm going to start removing wood. I think it's going to be best to do it from this side so that I don't hit that other vein of that other branch. So here we go. And I want to do it right flush with the trunk. So that gin right there might get in my way, but I'm going to try my best to get around it. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to break the branch away from the tree, but I'm not going to break the branch off of the tree. And because the way junipers grow, it will still be supplied by a root below. But I'm not severing any lifelines above it because Foemina is one of those species where it will actually run in a straight line as far as the veins go. Bald cypresses can redirect their live veins. Some junipers like Foemina are not very good at that, so we have to kind of do a couple of creative things, but then it gives us more possibilities. It's actually just a little bit. Yep, that's it. I don't want to go any more than that. Let's see how I did over here. Oh, dude, yeah. I cut straight through here, and that vein that goes up into that branch is still connected. It's like runs right on the other side. So it's right here, comes up there, and around there. And it might be very well much supplied by this side as well. So, but I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for. See that movement? You hear it's cracking just a little bit. I'm gonna take my guy wire and try to get that and see how far it'll go. Now this might not go all at one time too, because the worst thing that could happen is I completely crack the branch off. So I'm only gonna get so far before it's just like, no, and it comes off. So here's one of the best things about this technique is that it's gonna heal around there. It's gonna have a blunt cut, which I can go in and make it more like a shari within the branch here. But also as it heals, it will reinforce itself there. And then I can go back because there will be scar tissue to support it. I can actually go back and bend it more potentially. It might take a couple of years to get it exactly where I want it, but I'm closer than I was about 5 minutes ago. So now I get to do the slow and steady part. Let's see, and it's probably going to be best to. Usually you want to grab it from the furthest out point. That's not going to interfere with any wiring or branch placements that you need to do. Ouch. Foemina spikiness going on here. So let me grab it from there. So many branches. So I'm pretty far out on the branch here. Actually, there's a gin here. I'm going to use it to kind of rope myself a little bit further out. And my wire is probably not long enough. So this type of work takes several readjustments, because if one thing goes wrong, it's over. I mean, it's not all the way over. I just choose a new design for the tree, but I'd rather not do that. So let's see. There just has to be a branch right in that perfect spot. It's a good spot for that branch, but I don't need it right there right now. Okay. There, that makes me feel a little bit better. And sometimes bins like this will be done with a rebar, but I'm not going all that craziness with it. And also, typically, I would have an assistant that would push down on that branch so that I can do this, and then I can pull and twist at the same time. But I'm just going to have to do it nice and easy by myself. And you see, I haven't even gotten to where the slack's being taken out of this wire just yet. So I still got a little ways to go. Another fun fact too is that if you bend it a little bit, oops, if you bend it, love hearing that whenever I'm working on something. I'm like, this is a big deal, and I say, oops. I always love doing that. Another thing is that when you bend the branches on these trees and you do this type of work, it kind of massages the branch so that it will actually move a little bit further on its own without you having to ask too much of it. So you kind of, it's like stretch. It's like you stretch before a big run, before you go for a jog. Look at all that movement I can get. How far did that go? That's going there. How much gap do I have? I've got a good bit. I can probably go a little bit further. Oh yeah. Some bonsai artists will go until they hear a snap, and then they're like, oh, that was it. I don't like to go that far, but I like to be at that moment right before I'm like, oh, this is about to go down. So, let's see if I can get there. Oh, you keep going the wrong way. It would help if I twisted the wire the right way. There we go. That's why they also use rebar for this type of thing. So there's just a lever all the way out here, and they just kind of pull it the furthest way out. And the rebar is typically just strapped onto the branch for the time being, but this is not that big of a scenario. Pretty happy with the movement so far that I am getting though. So I'm getting pretty far with it. That's nice. I have to kind of conceal that, because then that sets this up to, because originally when this was up in the air, this was up here like that. Now I can just wire it down with ease and start building that out. And then maybe even shorten this back one day, this piece here. But I'll probably need it for the design for the time being. And then that can come there, and that can come there. And it's not even that big of a gap up here so far, so and these branches will fill that in beautifully. And then this will be a nice branch there, and that won't take any effort to get that with a big piece of wire. So it looks like, because it's hard to see from here, there's another big branch right here. And I've got this branch almost on parallel with this branch now. It will take a little bit more bending to get it where I need it to be though. But with time, I can get this down. And for the time being, I can wire these pads out to make them look convincing in that place. So with the biggest challenge out of the way, we're gonna do like a time lapse on this part, and I'm gonna take off a lot of unnecessary branches, and I'm gonna wire most of the tree out, and then I'm gonna kind of get to a point where I feel comfortable with it to say, like this is the tree right now, and then I'll spend like the rest of maybe the next 2 days finishing this tree up. So. All right, so I am using a guy wire one more time in here to kind of pull one of these branches into position, and then I will be done for now. So any more work that I will do on camera will, it will not be on camera. And like I said, there will be a video at the end of this, or a short video at the end of this video. I guess, I don't know what you would call it, a segment, where I'm spinning the tree around to show off all of the wiring and the technical bending and stuff that I had to do. So as soon as I get this in place, I'll be happy. And then I can start doing the, because basically what I've done here is I have, maybe just pulling branches closer together. I have gone in and set all of the main branch structure. So the tree still looks very fluffy right now, and that's just because it hasn't been honed in. So there's a couple of things that I will do. When I say a couple of things, it's like dozens and dozens of things on each tiny little branch piece here. So I'm gonna be taking branches like this, and I'm gonna be lining them up and making what we call clouds. So you can kind of see a little bit happening right here. There's a cloud space here, 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 and then the second branch, and then some of the back branching, and all the way up into the top of the tree. So what's really exciting is that there was a branch right in the very top here that comes up this direction and then shoots back the other way. So I was able to wire it down perfectly where this gin sticks out the top of it, And this flat cut one, I'm gonna make it look similar to this and this back here. So it looks like just a big old broken top up there. And I'm pretty excited about that because that's one of the main features that people expect when they look at a Foemina juniper like this. They always expect the top to be kind of blown out looking, and that's an homage to how John Naka would have styled these trees. So I'm really, really happy with the way that came out, and that branch was in that perfect spot. So like I said, I have to go in and further refine the pads on this, but I don't want to overwork the tree at this point because I took off a lot of foliage. As you can probably tell, I mean, this tree was another 2 feet or so, maybe even higher than that. And we took off some of the longer, wider branches, but there's still a lot of foliage on this tree on every single branch. And I cut back some growing tips, but I did not cut all of the growing tips back. So I'm not gonna be going in and making a really nice tight pad system. Instead, when you guys see the video that I'm gonna share when it's spinning around, notice that all the tips are just out and up like this. So they're all gonna lay down and then go outwards and allow those tips to elongate, and so I can trim back again. And also to do stuff like with this dangler piece here to get it up out of the way so that weaker branches on the interior can get stronger as well and move stuff around. So this is just the beginning of this tree's journey in becoming a refined bonsai. I'm happy that I was able to take it from what I'm assuming is almost a 40-year-old plant and bring it into a high quality bonsai specimen tree that could probably go on to be shown in maybe a future national show or Bonsai Central or whatever local conventions we might have here. But I don't think it's going to be show ready for at least 5 years. It might be a little sooner because we're in Louisiana and these grow faster in Louisiana because it's so hot and they love the hot. So it could be 5, it could be 4, I don't know. I don't want to overquote and then, you know, years down the road people are asking about it. I got to be honest. Most bonsai like this are 5-year projects is what we call it. So, but thank you guys for hanging out and watching us, watching me style this tree. And I hope to bring you guys some more exciting trees like this in the future. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And will give us some more fuel and more questions to answer in later videos and reels on our social media outlets. And also, like I said before, check out Little Things for Bonsai People and go listen to more nonsense from me. So you guys have a great one.